50 interesting facts about Christmas. Number 50. The etymological meaning of Christmas. The word Christmas comes from the Latin nativitas, which means birth, in direct reference to the birth of Jesus Christ according to Christian tradition. This term was consolidated over the centuries, incorporating not only its religious dimension, but also a broader concept of renewal and hope. Thus, the word Christmas is not limited to naming a specific date on the calendar, but carries the idea of a symbolic rebirth that inspires peace and understanding. The etymological roots of the word were reinforced when different Christian cultures adopted the term and intertwined it with their own customs. This integration allowed Christmas to transcend borders, combining liturgical ceremonies with popular expressions and local artistic manifestations. Each language and region adapted the name to its phonetics and traditions, providing its own nuances to a shared term. The fact that nativitas was transformed into Navidad shows how a religious concept was extended to encompass the family, social, and community sphere. In this way, the etymology of the word serves as a reminder that the original meaning of sacred birth has permeated the collective imagination, evoking unity and the possibility of new beginnings. Number 49. The historical origin of December 25th. The choice of December 25th as the date to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ does not come from the scriptures, but from a historical and cultural process. Various studies indicate that the early church decided to adopt this date to coincide with the ancient pagan festivals of the winter solstice, particularly the festival of the invincible sun, widespread in the Roman Empire. This strategy facilitated the adoption of Christianity among populations accustomed to celebrating the renewal of light at that time. During the first centuries of Christianity, the institutionalization of Christmas in December was a key step to assimilate and overcome pagan traditions. By transforming rites linked to the solar cycle into a religious festival, the Church managed not only to consolidate Christian doctrine, but also to give new meanings to existing customs. Thus, the light of the rising sun was replaced by the spiritual light that, according to faith, radiated from the child Jesus. Over time, the date of December 25th became popular in different regions, integrating itself into the cultural identity of peoples in Europe and, later, in America and other latitudes. The consolidation of this date as the central day of Christmas celebrations reflects the capacity of religions to interact with pre-existing traditions, adapting them, redefining them, and giving them a sacred dimension. Number 48. Christmas tree, pagan roots. The custom of decorating a tree during the Christmas season has its roots in ancient pagan celebrations of the winter solstice. Germanic and Celtic peoples venerated evergreen trees as a symbol of life, hope, and fertility in the midst of the harshness of winter. With the expansion of Christianity, these practices were reinterpreted and gradually associated with the birth of Jesus, preserving the plant element as an emblem of continuity and renewal. Beginning in the Middle Ages, the tradition of placing green trees inside homes during the winter was adopted by Christian communities in Northern Europe. The first references to the Christmas tree as we know it today arose in the region of Alsace, where Protestant families decorated fir trees with apples, candles, and other ornaments. This custom spread to other territories thanks to cultural mobility and migration. During the 19th century, the practice became popular in England and the United States, driven by the influence of the British royal family. Since then, the Christmas tree became a universal symbol of Christmas. Its evolution reflects the human capacity to integrate pre-Christian traditions into the framework of a religious celebration, giving rise to a festive icon that combines history, faith, and aesthetic sense. Number 47. The mystical power of Celtic mistletoe. Mistletoe was a sacred plant for the ancient Celts and Druids, who believed that it had magical properties capable of protecting the home and attracting fertility, health, and good luck. This plant, by remaining green during the winter, symbolized life in its most resilient state. Druidic ceremonies included the harvesting of mistletoe with golden sickles, attributing to it a special energy granted by the gods. Over time, the Celtic tradition was integrated into Christmas celebrations, especially in Anglo-Saxon regions, where hanging mistletoe over doors became a rite that announced reconciliations, love encounters, and promises of prosperity. The act of kissing under the mistletoe, extended between couples and loved ones, reinforces the idea that this plant serves as a bridge between people, promoting closeness and affection. The presence of mistletoe in Christmas decorations reflects the mixture of ancient rites with later Christian festivities. Its symbolism as a bringer of harmony and well-being remained alive, crossing the centuries and cultural transformations. Thus, mistletoe embodies a pagan heritage that, when assimilated to Christmas, enriches the set of symbols and practices that characterize this time. Number 46. Saint Nicholas, the inspiration for Santa Claus. The figure of Saint Nicholas, Bishop of Myra in the 4th century, laid the foundations for the generous character who would later be known as Santa Claus. Saint Nicholas is credited with countless charitable actions, such as anonymously helping needy families, which forged his reputation as a protector of the poor, children, and sailors. These stories spread throughout the Mediterranean and Eastern Europe, making him one of the most venerated saints. With the Christianization of different territories, the image of Saint Nicholas was adapted to local traditions, adopting names, clothing, and customs of its own. In the Netherlands, his figure was transformed into Sinterklaas, a character who arrived by boat laden with gifts for children. When Dutch settlers settled in North America, this figure evolved into Santa Claus, incorporating elements of Anglo-Saxon folklore and popular images disseminated by the press. The present-day Santa Claus, with his red suit and white beard, is the fruit of numerous cultural, literary, and commercial influences. However, his historical roots lie in the devotional figure of Saint Nicholas. Thus, the transition from a Christian saint to a magical Christmas character shows how history, faith, and popular customs can merge, creating a universal symbol of kindness and generosity. Number 45. Christmas cards, an English tradition. The first commercial Christmas card dates back to 1843, when Henry Cole commissioned a festive illustration showing a family sharing around the Christmas table. These postcards were initially distributed in England, and their popularity grew from their simplicity, economy, and ability to convey good wishes through the mail. The initiative allowed many people to express their affection during the holidays, even if they were separated by great distances. The custom of sending Christmas cards spread throughout Europe and North America in the second half of the 19th century, reinforced by the appearance of more efficient printing presses and reduced postal rates. The images evolved from family and religious scenes to illustrations with winter motifs, snowy landscapes, and folkloric elements. Each card reflected the spirit of its time, incorporating local symbols and aesthetics unique to each region. Over time, Christmas cards became a true tradition that fostered the creativity of artists, illustrators, and designers. These graphic media not only spread affection, but also offer a window into the visual culture of each historical moment. In this sense, Christmas cards represent a living archive of customs, aesthetic tastes, and social relations, consolidating their place as an essential part of the Christmas ritual. Number 44. Christmas carols, a mix of faith and popular music. Christmas carols have their origins in popular European songs that were sung during different festivities, not just Christmas. Towards the Renaissance, they became fully integrated into Christmas celebrations, adopting religious lyrics and themes that narrated the birth of Jesus, the visit of the shepherds, and the joy of the season. These compositions, with simple and easily memorized melodies, united the voices of the communities in a common song. The spread of Christmas carols was facilitated by singers and minstrels, who took these melodies from one place to another, enriching their repertoire with local arrangements, native instruments, and different languages. Their popularity reached a high point in the modern age, when churches, convents, and palaces welcomed these songs, adding polyphonic complexities and new harmonies. Each region adapted the carol to its environment, combining spirituality with folk music. In addition to the religious dimension, Christmas carols promoted social closeness. By singing them as a family, in the parish church or in the town square, a shared sound space was generated that reinforced the identity and cohesion of the group. The mixture of devotion and popular tradition turned Christmas carols into a persistent cultural phenomenon, capable of uniting generations around music full of meaning and emotion. Number 43. The Christmas flower and its Mexican origin. The Christmas flower, known outside of Mexico as Poinsettia, has a history linked to pre-Hispanic civilizations. The Mexicas used this plant, called Quetzalcoatl, in rituals dedicated to purity and fertility, in addition to using its red petals to obtain natural dyes. After the Spanish conquest, missionaries associated its intense color with the blood of Christ and the celebration of the birth. In the 19th century, the first U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Joel Roberts Poinsett, brought some specimens to the north, spreading the plant beyond the country's borders. The flower was quickly adopted in Christmas decorations, especially in North America and Europe, thanks to its bright red color, its ease of cultivation in greenhouses, and its ability to bloom during the Christmas period. The poinsettia embodies the union between indigenous traditions and Christian holidays. Its natural beauty and festive symbolism allow this plant to root the Christmas spirit in the Mexican land, extending its message to multiple cultures. Around the Christmas flower, the celebration of Christmas takes on a botanical dimension, reminding us that nature is an essential part of the spiritual and cultural experience. Number 42. Books as gifts in Iceland. The Icelandic tradition known as Jólabókaflóð, or Christmas flood of books, dates back to the post-war period, when the scarcity of goods encouraged the gifting of literary works during Christmas. The custom of exchanging books between family and friends turned the nights before the holiday into moments of shared reading, stimulating imagination, dialogue, and reflection. Literary catalogs are widely distributed so that each household can choose the publications of the year. This practice strengthened the publishing industry and the literary identity of Iceland, a country with a rich narrative tradition and a high reading rate. The works are presented wrapped, and it is common for families to spend Christmas Eve exploring newly discovered texts. The gesture of giving books implies something more than a simple material present. It represents the exchange of ideas and the consolidation of cultural ties. The Icelandic custom illustrates how Christmas can be oriented towards intellectual exploration. When choosing a book for someone, a narrative universe is selected that enriches the Christmas experience, transcending the festive dimension to delve into the formation of the critical spirit, artistic sensitivity, and the strengthening of cultural memory. Number 41. The Yule log and its symbolism. The Yule log, known in some traditions as the Yule log, comes from pagan ceremonies of the winter solstice, in which a large log was lit to invoke warmth, light, and prosperity in the middle of the longest night of the year. When these customs were Christianized, the log became part of Christmas celebrations, retaining its symbolism of protection and fortune for the home. The custom included selecting a special log, often oak or ash, and lighting it in the fireplace. During the days it burned, it was considered a time of family communion, shared stories, and conviviality around the fire. Later, the ashes of the log were saved to scatter in the fields, with the belief that they would ensure abundant harvests and good luck. The evolution of the Yule log led to the appearance of the log-shaped Christmas cake, the bûche de Noël, in France. This gastronomic adaptation maintains the essence of the original ritual, a symbolic log that brings the family together around the symbolic warmth of Christmas. This transformation shows how the festivities integrate ancestral beliefs, culinary practices, and community values into a single cultural symbol. Number 40. Candy canes and their curious beginning. Candy canes with red and white stripes originate in 17th century Europe, when a choirmaster in Cologne, Germany, handed out staff-shaped sweets to choir boys to keep them quiet during Christmas Mass. This shape, inspired by a shepherd's staff, recalled the shepherd's visit to baby Jesus, adding a religious dimension to the simple sweet. The red stripes were later incorporated, and there are interpretations that associate them with the blood of Christ, while the white represents his purity. Over the centuries, these canes became Christmas tree decorations, joining the visual imagery of the holiday. The simplicity of the sweet, its mild mint flavor, and its spiritual symbolism contributed to its rooting in different cultures. The spread of candy canes reinforced its status as an iconic element of the Christmas season. When given as gifts or used as decoration, they evoke the innocence of childhood, sensory enjoyment, and the connection between the everyday and the sacred. These sweets remind us that a small artisanal creation can become, over time, a universal symbol of the celebration. Number 39. Panettone, an Italian Christmas classic. Originally from Milan, panettone is a sweet bread with candied fruit and raisins that has its roots in the Renaissance. There are legends that associate it with the love of a young nobleman for the daughter of a baker, or with the generosity of a humble servant who wanted to give a rich loaf of bread to his lord. Over time, panettone was adopted as a Christmas dessert, associated with abundance, sharing, and family joy. Its spongy texture is due to a slow fermentation process, which gives panettone its characteristic flavor and lightness. This preparation, passed down from generation to generation, made this dessert a benchmark of Italian Christmas gastronomy. From the 20th century onwards, its production became industrialized, allowing it to spread to Europe, Latin America, and other regions of the world. The presence of panettone on Christmas tables symbolizes the union between the past and the present, combining the sophistication of Italian pastries with the roots of family traditions. The aroma and flavor of this sweet bread evoke the warmth of the home around the holidays, a testament to how culinary preparations can embody deeply rooted cultural and emotional values. Number 38. Christmas in Japan with KFC. In Japan, Christmas does not have a deep-rooted religious origin, but has been adopted with a festive and commercial character. One of the most peculiar traditions is that of eating fried chicken from the KFC chain during Christmas dinner. This custom was born in the 1970s, when an advertising campaign presented fried chicken as an exotic and Western alternative to celebrate, attracting the curiosity of a public eager for new experiences. Over time, the custom was consolidated, and KFC branches receive an enormous amount of special orders on Christmas Eve. Families reserve their buckets of chicken in advance, creating a particular festive scene in which foreign influence is mixed with local adaptation. This tradition demonstrates the capacity of societies to reinterpret festivities in a gastronomic and media way. Although it differs from celebrations more closely linked to the Christian faith, the adoption of fried chicken as a Christmas dish in Japan reveals how cultural practices can be transformed through marketing, consumer trends, and curiosity about the foreign. Thus, in a land of refined culinary customs, Christmas chicken stands as a contemporary emblem of globalization and the reinvention of traditions. Number 37. First electric lights on Christmas trees. Before the appearance of electric lights, Christmas trees were lit with candles, which entailed a high risk of fire. In 1882, Edward H. Johnson, a partner of Thomas Edison, installed electric light bulbs for the first time in a Christmas tree in his New York home. This pioneering act combined festive symbolism with emerging technology, paving the way for safer and more spectacular decorations. With the advancement of electricity in large cities, electric Christmas lights became popular during the first decades of the 20th century. Incandescent bulbs became more affordable and durable, allowing not only trees in the home to be illuminated, but also streets, squares, and shop windows. This lighting display reinforced the festive atmosphere, associating Christmas with modernization and technical progress. The mass adoption of electric lights gave rise to increasingly complex and colorful lighting creations. By transforming the winter night into a landscape full of sparkles, these lights accentuated the illusion and fantasy of the time. The evolution from candles to contemporary LED bulbs reflects human ingenuity in combining aesthetics, safety, and tradition in a single decorative gesture. Number 36. The true origin of Xmas. The abbreviation Xmas is not a modern invention devoid of spiritual meaning. Its origin dates back to the Greek letter X, chi, which represents the first letter of the word Christ, in Greek, Christos. In the Middle Ages, copyists and religious people used the X as a shortened way of writing Christ, eventually giving rise to abbreviated expressions such as Xmas to refer to Christmas. This substitution did not seek to secularize the holiday, but to streamline the writing of liturgical and pastoral documents. For centuries, the X was understood as a Christological symbol and not as an elimination of the sacred name. Textual tradition gave way to popular custom, which assimilated the abbreviation in written media, decorations, and Christmas communications, preserving its original symbolic value. The contemporary debate about Xmas as an attempt to erase the religious component ignores the historical background. Far from being a commercial invention, it is a linguistic heritage that combines Christian devotion with the pragmatics of language. The origin of this abbreviation reflects the interaction between written culture and faith, recalling that words and their signs can have complex trajectories and profound meanings. Number 35. Trees decorated with spider webs in Ukraine. In Ukraine, there is a peculiar custom of decorating the Christmas tree with ornaments in the form of spider webs. This tradition is based on a legend according to which a widow, too poor to decorate her tree, woke up on Christmas to find that spiders had woven shiny threads into the branches, transforming the humble fir tree into an object of luminous beauty. Since then, artificial spider webs have symbolized coming prosperity. The Christmas spider web is interpreted as a sign of good fortune and creativity. Hanging these delicate webs on the tree is a reminder that beauty can emerge from the most adverse circumstances, and that even something small and seemingly insignificant, such as an insect or a filament of silk, can bring a touch of magic to everyday life. This ornament reflects the ability of societies to assign poetic meanings to simple elements. Ukrainian spider webs on the Christmas tree are a fusion of myth, nature, and hope. The story of the widow and the spiders heightens human sensitivity to recognize the wonder in the smallest things, integrating them into the festive atmosphere. Number 34. The prohibition of Christmas in Puritan England. During the Puritan government of Oliver Cromwell in 17th century England, the celebration of Christmas was prohibited. The Puritans considered the holiday to be contaminated by pagan customs and worldly practices that diverted attention from authentic devotion. As a result, the sale of Christmas sweets, the singing of carols, and any form of street merriment was severely repressed. This prohibition attempted to reform the morality of the people, aligning them with a strict and sober piety. However, the population, accustomed to tradition, responded with discontent and clandestinity. The displays of resistance included secret meetings, secret exchange of gifts, and the maintenance of Christmas symbols in the domestic sphere. The ban was lifted with the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, and Christmas was once again celebrated publicly. This historical episode shows how festivities can be interpreted in multiple ways depending on the ruling elites and religious currents of the time. The history of Christmas in Puritan England is a lesson in the tension between faith, popular traditions, and political power. Number 33. Christmas on Wheels in Caracas. In Caracas, Venezuela, there is a Christmas tradition that combines religious devotion with a peculiar physical activity. The Misa de Aguinaldos, celebrated on the mornings before Christmas, brings together numerous faithful who go to church on skates. The streets are closed to traffic, becoming a festive corridor where families and friends enjoy music, exercise, and anticipation of the holidays. The ritual of going on skates to the Misa de Aguinaldos adds a playful and urban component to the Christmas celebration, reflecting the capacity of societies to integrate religious tradition with contemporary cultural expressions. During these morning events, faith is mixed with sport, dance, and socializing, creating a unique and joyful atmosphere. This phenomenon is an example of local adaptation of celebrations, where global Christmas practices are combined with the dynamics of a large Latin American city. The Christmas Mass on Wheels in Caracas shows that spirituality can be expressed in original ways, fusing sacred elements with the social customs that characterize the place. Number 32. Giant Lantern Festival in the Philippines. In the city of San Fernando, in the Pampanga region of the Philippines, the Giant Lantern Festival, Liglagan Parul, is celebrated. During this event, different neighborhoods compete in the creation of enormous multicolored lanterns made of glass, paper, and light bulbs, forming geometric and floral patterns that dance with the light. These lanterns represent the Star of Bethlehem and spread Christmas joy on a monumental scale. The festival dates back to the Filipino tradition of building parols, lanterns, to guide the faithful in Advent masses. Over time, the practice evolved into a competitive display of craftsmanship and creativity, incorporating motors and complex electrical systems that allow the lanterns to flicker in changing patterns, captivating thousands of spectators. The Liglagan Parul shows how Christmas can be a platform for local ingenuity and craftsmanship. By lighting these luminous structures, the community celebrates unity, faith, and collective talent. Giant lanterns project a message of hope and light into the night, reinforcing the central role of Christmas as a source of inspiration and cultural pride. Number 31. The evolution of the Advent calendar. The Advent calendar originated in 19th-century German Protestant communities, where families marked the days leading up to Christmas with chalk marks on the wall or by lighting daily candles. Later, printed calendars emerged with windows that hid biblical images, consolidating a tangible symbol of the wait for the birth of Jesus. At the beginning of the 20th century, Advent calendars began to include sweets, chocolates, and small gifts behind each window. This innovation increased their popularity, incorporating a playful element that attracted children and turned the wait into an experience full of expectations. The diversity of themes grew, incorporating winter, folklore, and artistic motifs, without detaching themselves from the original motif. In its evolution, the Advent calendar transformed a liturgical period into a deep-rooted family tradition. Opening each window brings to mind the religious origins of Christmas while enjoying a small, everyday pleasure. This mix of devotion, gastronomy, and entertainment reflects the human capacity to reinvent customs and give them creative forms that enrich the meaning of the holiday. Number 30. The Roscon de Reyes, from Rome to the Epiphany. The Roscon de Reyes, typical of the Epiphany, has links with the Roman Saturnalia, when sweet breads with dried fruit and honey were prepared. With the Christianization of the empire, these customs became associated with the visit of the three wise men to the child Jesus on January 6th. The Roscon, decorated with candied fruits that symbolize the jewels of the royal crown, became an indispensable cake on these dates. One of the best-known characteristics of the Roscon is the figure or bean hidden inside. Whoever finds it takes on the symbolic role of queen or king of the celebration, which adds a playful and social nuance to the tasting of the cake. This community practice unites families, reinforces complicity, and turns the dessert into a central element of the Christmas ritual. The Roscon de Reyes is a reflection of the cultural syncretism between pagan Rome and nascent Christianity, an example of how traditions can be adapted to new contexts without losing their festive essence. Its sweet taste and colorful presentation evoke abundance, the end of the Christmas period, and the hope placed in the new cycle that begins after the Epiphany. Number 29. Nuremberg Christmas Market, the oldest. The Nuremberg Christmas Market in Germany is considered one of the oldest, with origins dating back to the 16th century. At this market, wooden stalls offer crafts, traditional toys, tree decorations, gingerbread, sausages, and mulled wine. The atmosphere is warm and welcoming, despite the winter cold, bringing together locals and visitors around the light of lanterns and decorations. This market is a symbol of German cultural identity and a model that has inspired many other cities to organize their own Christmas fairs. Live music, choirs singing Christmas carols, and the smell of spices and nuts recreate a magical atmosphere, recovering the spirit of pre-modern holidays. Every corner tells a story, from artisanal trades to centuries-old gastronomic traditions. The preservation and evolution of the Nuremberg market demonstrates the ability of Christmas to transcend eras and fashions. In this space, the past coexists with the present, craftsmanship with technology, and devotion with leisure. The massive attendance at this market year after year shows the deep-rootedness of customs and the importance of preserving a cultural legacy that keeps the essence of the festivity alive. Number 28. La Befana, the Good Witch of Italy. In Italian tradition, La Befana is a kind old woman who flies on a broom and visits homes the night before Epiphany. According to legend, the three wise men invited her to accompany them to Bethlehem, but the woman, busy with her chores, refused. After repenting, she went in search of him, leaving gifts for each child in the hope of finding baby Jesus. This benevolent witch brings candy to the little ones who have behaved well and pieces of coal to those who have not been so obedient. The figure of the Befana mixes pre-Christian folklore with the biblical story, fusing the magic of a fantastic creature with the religious meaning of the Epiphany. Her image, with rags and a wrinkled face, contrasts with the loving nature of her mission. The Befana enriches the Italian Christmas tradition, offering an emblematic character that joins other figures of the season. The legend teaches that generosity can come in unexpected forms, and that even the most humble characters can transmit values of love, kindness, and hope. Thus, the Befana becomes a bridge between the sacred, the popular, and the imaginary. Number 27. Snow White, a Christmas film tradition. In some countries, especially in the English-speaking world, the animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937 is associated with the Christmas holidays thanks to its frequent television broadcast during December. Although the story is not directly about Christmas, its fantasy atmosphere, the triumph of good over evil, and the nostalgia it evokes fit the emotional tone of the season. The tradition of showing Snow White at Christmas helped several generations associate the fairy tale with the warmth of home, the aroma of festive meals and family gatherings. The film offers an emotional refuge that is in tune with the atmosphere of the end of the year. The innocence, hope, and affection between the characters connect with Christmas values. This media phenomenon illustrates how cultural industries can shape festive customs. By presenting the film on a special date, the film became a shared ritual, adding a visual and emotional dimension to the celebrations. Thus, Snow White is part of the sentimental heritage of Christmas, demonstrating that the magic of the screen can be integrated into the imagery of the holiday. Number 26. Superstition of the tree until the day of the Three Wise Men. In certain regions, there is a belief that the Christmas tree must be kept decorated until the day of the Three Wise Men, on January 6th, so as not to attract bad luck. This superstition is based on the idea of respecting the complete cycle of the holiday, which begins with the preparation of Advent, reaches its climax on Christmas Eve, and extends until the Epiphany. Keeping the tree decorated is more than just a question of aesthetics. It is a symbolic act that honors the different phases of the Christmas story. The permanence of the tree during these days reinforces the connection between the birth of Jesus and the arrival of the Three Wise Men, recalling the journey of these wise men to Bethlehem and thus completing the Christian imagery of the period. This superstition, rather than inspiring fear, encourages a comprehensive reading of the Christmas season. By not taking down the decorations before the Epiphany, families prolong the festive atmosphere, enjoy the lights and decorations, and keep the sense of expectation alive. In this way, a seemingly minor practice reveals the importance of temporal rhythms and cyclical narratives in cultural traditions. Number 25. Silent Night, the Universal Christmas Carol. Silent Night, Stille Nacht, in German, composed by Maestro Franz Xaver Gruber with lyrics by priest Joseph Moore in 1818, became one of the most widely disseminated Christmas carols in the world. This piece, performed for the first time in the Church of St. Nicholas in Oberndorf, Austria, is characterized by its serene melody and its message of peace and tranquility. Translated into multiple languages, Silent Night has united people of different cultures and creeds. In many corners of the planet, it is sung during midnight masses or at family gatherings, creating a moment of contemplation and brotherhood. This Christmas carol transcends borders, becoming a universal hymn to reconciliation and love. The simplicity of its composition, its intimate tone and the historical context of its creation, during a turbulent period for Europe, have given it an emblematic character. Silent Night is an example of the power of music to transmit hope, relieve tensions, and connect communities, reminding us that Christmas is a time when voices come together to celebrate harmony. Number 24. Victorian humorous Christmas cards. In Victorian England, Christmas cards not only contained pious images or homely scenes, but also humorous or even extravagant illustrations. It was common to find cards with anthropomorphic animals, absurd situations, or unexpected designs that sought to cause surprise and laughter in those who received them. This trend responded to the creative spirit of the time, in which the expansion of printing and the taste for collecting promoted the variety of Christmas motifs. Humorous cards broke with the solemnity of the holiday, offering a comic escape valve in the midst of Victorian social rigor. Through these unusual images, Christmas cards became a space for irony, wit, and veiled criticism. These printed pieces, sought after by collectors today, demonstrate the diversity of interpretations that society can give to Christmas. They reflect the human capacity to face traditions with joy, imagination, and a touch of irreverence. Number 23. Christmas Eve witches in Norway. In Norway, a curious superstition persists. On Christmas Eve, witches and evil spirits break free and look for brooms to ride on. For this reason, families hide their brooms, sweepers, and cleaning utensils before going to bed, ensuring that no sinister force ruins the sacred night. This practice comes from ancient Scandinavian beliefs in supernatural beings that lurked during the darkest night of the year. With Christianization, Christmas was associated with the divine light of Jesus' birth, while witches remained as a pagan echo that still haunted the collective imagination. The act of putting away brooms reinforces the duality between the sacred and the profane. Despite its superstitious nature, Norwegian tradition keeps alive the memory of a mystical past. By reinforcing precautions on Christmas Eve, families evoke ancestral stories and remember that behind the Christmas glow lie myths and legends that enrich the culture. This custom is a testament to how the holidays can incorporate fragments of ancient folklore, preserving them through the centuries. Number 22. Greenland's fermented delicacy. In Greenland, one of the most surprising Christmas traditions is the consumption of kiviak, a fermented delicacy made from seabirds, alks, placed inside the skin of a seal and buried under rocks for several months. The result is a food with an intense flavor and penetrating aroma, considered a delicacy in the December celebrations. The practice of kiviak originates from the need to preserve food during the long Arctic winter. This technique guaranteed survival in an extreme environment, providing vital proteins and calories. Over time, kiviak acquired a symbolic value during the Christmas holidays, consolidating itself as a traditional dish that reinforces cultural identity and connection with ancestors. Tasting kiviak during the Greenlandic Christmas shows that food customs do not always conform to universal patterns. In this case, gastronomy responds to particular geographic and climatic conditions, generating a unique culinary ritual. The strength of this culinary tradition is manifested in the satisfaction of sharing a dish that sums up history, resistance, and belonging to the territory. Number 21. Mexican Posadas and their symbolism. The Mexican Posadas, celebrated during the 9 days before Christmas Eve, recreate the pilgrimage of Joseph and Mary in search of a place for the birth of Jesus. Families and neighbors gather in processions with candles and songs, asking for lodging from house to house, while Christmas carols are sung and biblical passages are narrated. At the end of the procession, when the last door opens to welcome the pilgrims, there is celebration with sweets, piñatas, and hot drinks such as punch. This symbolic gesture exalts hospitality and solidarity, reminding us that Christmas involves welcoming those in need. In this way, the Posadas combine faith, popular tradition, and the reaffirmation of community values. The Posadas show the roots of Mexican culture in its religious and mestizo roots. Mixing indigenous rituals with Christian heritage, these celebrations condense a centuries-old history. In each street lit by candles, the original meaning of Christmas is rediscovered: generosity, empathy, and the recognition of shared humanity. Number 20. Summer Christmas on Australian beaches. In Australia, Christmas coincides with summer, which changes the way it is celebrated compared to the winter traditions of the Northern Hemisphere. Instead of snow and fireplaces, families enjoy the sun, the sea, and outdoor barbecues. Beaches are filled with bathers, and it is common for people to wear red Santa Claus hats while cooling off in the ocean. Australian Christmas dishes include seafood, tropical fruits, and fresh salads, reflecting the warm climate and local biodiversity. This culinary adaptation contrasts with the heavy menus typical of cold climates, giving the Australian Christmas a unique flavor. Instead of reindeer, Christmas kangaroos can be seen in the decorations, a nod to the native fauna. This summer experience of Christmas demonstrates the cultural plasticity of the festivities. By transferring traditions to a different geographical context, a new way of understanding the celebration is generated. Sunlight, high temperatures, and the fresh sea contribute to a different atmosphere, without altering the essential sense of family conviviality and celebration. Number 19. The Nutcracker, the quintessential Christmas ballet. The Nutcracker, with music by Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky and premiered in 1892 in St. Petersburg, has become a Christmas classic. Based on a tale by E.T.A. Hoffmann and adapted by Alexander Dumas, the ballet tells the adventures of Clara, who receives a wooden nutcracker that comes to life to confront the Mouse King and lead her to a magical kingdom of sweets and fantasy. The dreamlike atmosphere, the dazzling costumes, and Tchaikovsky's score, full of unforgettable melodies, make the Nutcracker an artistic symbol of Christmas. Every December, ballet companies around the world perform this work, attracting audiences of all ages. The tradition of programming the Nutcracker was reinforced in the mid-20th century, thanks in part to the tours of the New York Ballet and the popularization of the piece in popular culture. In addition to its aesthetic beauty, the ballet evokes the innocence of childhood, the magic of dreams, and the power of imagination, central elements of the Christmas spirit. The Nutcracker unites dance and music to create a universe in which the wonderful becomes tangible. Thus, this masterpiece combines the emotion of Christmas with the splendor of theater, crowning itself as a jewel of the international stage repertoire. Number 18. Curious ways of saying Merry Christmas. Christmas is celebrated in multiple languages, each contributing its own way of wishing happy holidays. Merry Christmas, in English, Joyeux Noël, in French, Frohe Weihnachten, in German, Buon Natale, in Italian, or Feliz Natal, in Portuguese, all express the intention of sharing joy and prosperity. Languages reflect the cultural particularities of each people and their way of conceiving Christmas. Cards, songs, and phone calls multiply the voices that pronounce these wishes. In some cases, expressions incorporate local references, such as the Nadolig Yawen in Welsh, recalling the roots of minority languages. By learning to say Merry Christmas in different languages, the universality of the festive message is understood. Linguistic diversity shows that, despite distances and cultural differences, Christmas is perceived as a time of peace, love, and renewal. These formulas of Christmas courtesy link communities around the world, revealing the power of the word to build emotional bridges between people, no matter where they are. Number 17. The Christmas turkey and its Mesoamerican origin. The turkey is originally from Mesoamerica, where pre-Hispanic cultures domesticated it and considered it a highly valuable food resource. After the arrival of the Europeans, the turkey was taken to Europe, where its flavor and appearance were novel. Over time, the bird was incorporated into the festive tables of the Old Continent and later returned to America as a Christmas gastronomic tradition. In Anglo-Saxon countries, the turkey is especially associated with Christmas dinner. Its meat, accompanied by stuffing, sauces, and garnishes, became a symbol of abundance and hospitality. The popularity of the turkey was reinforced by its presence on Thanksgiving Day in the United States, and cultural exchange consolidated it as a central dish on the Christmas menu of different nations. The history of the turkey shows how Christmas cuisine is the result of centuries of cultural fusion. The bird that was once a domestic animal of Mesoamerican peoples crossed oceans and became part of Western festive rites. Its flavor, adapted to different recipes, embodies the human capacity to reinvent Christmas gastronomy, fusing diverse origins in a single family dinner. Number 16. Santa Claus has an official postal code. In Canada, there is a tradition of sending letters to Santa Claus to the postal address H0H0H0, North Pole, Canada. This festive postal code, created by the Canadian Postal Service, allows thousands of children to send their Christmas wishes to Santa. Volunteers and postal workers respond to the letters, reinforcing the illusion and magic of the date. This initiative emerged in the 1980s and, over time, has become a communication channel that integrates fantasy with everyday reality. The letters, written in multiple languages, reflect the diversity of the senders. In addition to its magical dimension, the practice promotes reading, writing, and empathy, as many children receive a personalized response and understand the importance of expressing their feelings. Santa Claus's postal code confirms that Christmas can have an imaginary geography. Thanks to imagination and community collaboration, the figure of Santa acquires a plausible direction, reinforcing children's belief in generosity and magic. This Canadian initiative is an example of how collective will can materialize Christmas fantasies, turning illusion into a shared tradition. Number 15. The red image of Santa and Coca-Cola. Before the famous Coca-Cola advertising campaigns in the 1930s, Santa Claus had been represented in various outfits, colors, and aspects. It was the soft drink brand that consolidated the image of a good-natured, bearded Santa, dressed in red with white trim, holding a bottle of Coca-Cola. The illustrator Haddon Sundblom contributed to spreading this iconography. The campaign was so successful that the image of Santa Claus in a red suit became the world standard. This phenomenon demonstrates the influence of advertising and the media in the construction of cultural symbols. Although Coca-Cola did not invent Santa, it did popularize him and unify his representation, generating a model that transcended the commercial sphere. The iconographic appropriation of Santa Claus exemplifies the transformation of Christmas traditions under the influence of the industrial age and consumer society. The image of the good-natured man in a red suit became part of the collective unconscious, replacing local variants and consolidating the presence of the brand. This fact confirms that Christmas, as a cultural phenomenon, has been shaped by multiple hands and visions. Number 14. Pōhutukawa, the New Zealand Christmas tree. In New Zealand, the Pōhutukawa, a coastal tree with bright red flowers, is associated with Christmas, as it blooms between December and January, coinciding with the festive period. This tree was already revered by the Maori, who considered it a symbol of strength and resilience. With the arrival of European settlers, the Pōhutukawa became part of Christmas iconography, replacing the typical fir tree of cold climates. New Zealand beaches are filled with these flowering trees, creating a bright and vibrant Christmas landscape. Their red petals contrast with the summer environment, reminding us that Christmas is not exclusively linked to snow and cold. By incorporating a natural and native element, the tradition takes on a unique character and is rooted in the identity of the country. The Pōhutukawa shows that celebrations can adapt to the natural environment in which they take place. The connection between local flora and the festivity reinforces the sense of belonging to the land. Thus, New Zealand celebrates Christmas with a colorful plant show, integrating Christian spirituality, local customs, and respect for biodiversity. Number 13. Saint Francis of Assisi and the first nativity scene. The tradition of setting up a nativity scene to represent the birth of Jesus is attributed to Saint Francis of Assisi, who in 1223 organized the first living nativity scene in the Italian town of Greccio. His intention was to make the mystery of the Incarnation more tangible, allowing the humble people to understand the sacred scene through a realistic setting. Animals, straw, and people from the town were used instead of sculptures. This initiative quickly spread throughout Europe, transforming into the wooden, clay, or porcelain nativity scenes that are known today. Each region contributed its own figures, costumes, and landscapes, enriching the tradition with local cultural influences. From Iberian shepherds to Neapolitan scenes full of everyday life, the nativity scene took on many forms. The nativity scene embodies the humility of the nativity and the closeness between faith and humanity. The original idea of Saint Francis, who sought to move through simplicity, consolidated a universal Christmas symbol. This representation keeps alive the spiritual meaning of Christmas: God-made child who radiates love and brotherhood from the most modest cradle. Number 12. Christmas lights and urban electrification. The expansion of Christmas lights coincides with the introduction of electricity in Western cities. During the last decades of the 19th century and the first decades of the 20th century, public lighting and access to electric light in homes facilitated Christmas decorations with light bulbs. Before that, candles illuminated the trees with the risk of fire, limiting their use. The arrival of light bulbs transformed the festive landscape. The streets, shop windows, and squares were filled with luminous garlands, reflecting the enthusiasm for modernity. This technological achievement enhanced the Christmas atmosphere, turning it into a visual spectacle. The electric glow was interpreted as a metaphor for spiritual light, accompanying the religious message with material advancement. The proliferation of Christmas lights fostered artistic ingenuity and decoration competitions, fueling the visual identity of the season. Over time, incandescent bulbs gave way to more efficient technology, keeping the essence intact, illuminating the heart of winter with the promise of renewed clarity. These lights intertwine the history of energy, urban aesthetics, and the symbolism of Christmas. Number 11. The Caga Tió, a unique Catalan tradition. In Catalonia, the Caga Tió is a log with a smiling face drawn on it and covered with a blanket. In the days leading up to Christmas, it is fed with sweets and fruit, On Christmas Eve, children beat it with sticks while singing a song, hoping that the log will poop out gifts and sweets. This agrarian custom is associated with the fertility of the land and the abundance of the season. The Caga Tió is an example of how folklore is integrated into Christmas celebrations. Its origin could be linked to pagan solstice rites, which the Christian tradition absorbed, adapting them to a sacred date. By transforming a simple log into a magical being that provides gifts, the community renews the illusion of childhood and shared generosity. In addition to the symbolism of prosperity, the Caga Tió strengthens Catalan cultural identity. The practice, passed down from generation to generation, brings families together, invites active participation from the little ones, and adds a playful tone to Christmas spirituality. This ritual connects the present with ancestral roots, proving that Christmas can take on many expressions depending on the local context. Number 10. The tradition of giving books as gifts in Iceland. In Iceland, the well-known Jólabókaflóð, Christmas flood of books, is a literary custom that is consolidated every Christmas. Families give each other new books on Christmas Eve and then spend the evening reading and discussing the works. This habit promotes interest in reading, strengthens the publishing industry, and turns the celebration into an intellectual gathering. The tradition was cemented after World War II, when books were accessible and valued goods in a country with a shortage of other products. This particular way of celebrating reflects the Icelanders' appreciation for literature, oral and written storytelling, and their role in shaping national identity. The Jólabókaflóð makes Christmas a time of cultural enrichment, far from the consumerist hustle and bustle of other places. The gift of a book invites introspection, curiosity, and dialogue, turning the act of gift-giving into an exchange of ideas. Thus, Icelandic Christmas transcends the domestic sphere and settles in the territory of imagination, history, and thought. Number 9. Eggnog, the Anglo-Saxon Christmas drink. Eggnog is a creamy drink originating in medieval England, made with milk, eggs, sugar, and spices, often enriched with rum, brandy, or whiskey. Over time, it became popular in the American colonies, becoming a Christmas classic in the United States and Canada. Its smooth flavor and velvety texture evoke the warmth of home. In colonial times, eggnog reflected the opulence of the season, as the ingredients, spices, sugar, and liquors, were expensive and indicated prosperity. The drink was served at family and neighborly gatherings, strengthening community ties. Later, its consumption became widespread, and preparation was simplified with commercial versions. Eggnog is a symbol of Anglo-Saxon tradition that has spread to other places, incorporating local variations. Its spicy aroma, often with nutmeg, cinnamon, or cloves, marks the Christmas palate with an ancient taste. Drinking eggnog is reliving a culinary heritage that spans centuries, unifying the flavor of the past with the pleasure of the present. Number 8. The Christmas truce in World War I. On Christmas Day 1914, during World War I, British and German soldiers on the Western Front staged a spontaneous truce. They left the trenches, exchanged cigarettes, sang Christmas carols, and played football in no man's land. This brief but powerful act showed that even in the harshness of war, a respite of humanity was possible. The Christmas truce was not ordered by the commanders, but arose from the will of the combatants, exhausted by the conflict. The scene is a reminder of the fragility of national divisions and the power of empathy. Although it was not repeated with the same intensity in later years, its echo endured as a symbol of peace in the midst of barbarism. This historical episode shows that Christmas, with its universal message of reconciliation, can influence human decisions. Soldiers laid down their weapons to share simple gestures, demonstrating that brotherhood can manifest itself where it is least expected. The Christmas truce continues to inspire those seeking peace, reminding them that human bonds can transcend the boundaries of violence. Number 7. The iconic Rockefeller Center Christmas Tree. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree in New York stands every year as one of the most recognizable symbols of the season. Since 1933, a carefully selected fir tree has been adorned with thousands of lights and a shining star at its top. The televised and crowded lighting ceremony marks the beginning of the holidays in the city. The presence of the tree in an urban epicenter like Manhattan contrasts with the rural and silent image of a snowy forest. This juxtaposition reinforces the idea that Christmas adapts to all kinds of environments, from lonely mountains to bustling avenues. Rockefeller Center fills with tourists and New Yorkers who contemplate the tree, making it a meeting point and a place of admiration. The tradition of the giant tree at Rockefeller Center shows the power of urban symbols. By reflecting light on the facades of skyscrapers, the fir tree illuminates winter nights and unites people from different cultures. Its majesty and constant annual presence synthesize the symbiosis between modernity, tradition, and the shared longing for a bright and harmonious time. Number 6. Santa Lucia Fair and Catalan decorations. The Santa Lucia Fair, held in Barcelona since the 18th century, is a Christmas market that is set up in front of the cathedral and offers a variety of Christmas-related handicrafts. Nativity figures, mistletoe branches, the Caga Tió, and unique ornaments make up a sample of Catalan tradition. The fair brings together artisans, families, and visitors who stroll among colorful stalls. The aroma of moss, wood, and incense mixes with Catalan Christmas carols and the soft light of candles. Attending this fair is a ritual that mixes religion, folklore, and commerce, reminding us that Christmas is also a stage for community interaction. The persistence of the Santa Lucia Fair, adapting to the times without losing its essence, is evidence of the resilience of popular traditions. By acquiring handcrafted pieces, families strengthen their relationship with the past and cultural heritage. This Christmas market is an example of how local customs shape festive identity, renewing the link between memory, belief, and celebration every year. Number 5. Norway spruce trees as Christmas gifts. Every year, Norway sends imposing fir trees as Christmas gifts to cities such as London, Edinburgh, or Washington, D.C., in gratitude for the support given during World War II. These trees, installed in emblematic places, symbolize gratitude, friendship, and peace between nations. The arrival of the Norway spruce is an event eagerly awaited by local citizens. The lighting of its lights brings together official representatives, Christmas choirs, and curious people, transforming the tree into an international meeting point. This diplomatic exchange in a Christmas key reminds us that the festivities can be a bridge of fraternity between peoples. These green giants, cut in Norwegian forests, travel thousands of kilometers to light up the season on other continents. The gesture of sharing the tree becomes a symbolic language of solidarity and reconciliation. Thus, the Norway spruce transcends its status as an ornament to become a universal emblem of hope and mutual recognition. Number 4. Shoes in windows, a Dutch tradition. In the Netherlands, before the adoption of the figure of Santa Claus, the tradition of Sinterklaas already brought together children, who would place their shoes near the fireplace or in the windows at the beginning of December. In the morning, they would find sweets, spiced biscuits, or small gifts left by the saint. The custom of using shoes as a container for gifts dates back to ancient Germanic rituals associated with the fertility of the earth and gratitude to the divinities. When it became Christian, it was adapted to the figure of Saint Nicholas, Sinterklaas, emphasizing values of generosity and reward for good child behavior. Placing the shoe in the window is a gesture of innocence and expectation, where the border between the real and the magical is diluted. This tradition, alive in Dutch culture and extended to other countries, teaches that the Christmas ritual can manifest itself in everyday gestures. The simple act of leaving an empty shoe becomes an invitation to hope and shared fantasy. Number 3. Christmas gifts inspired by Saturnalia. The custom of exchanging gifts during Christmas has ancient roots in Saturnalia, the great Roman festival celebrated in honor of Saturn in December. During this festival, social norms were relaxed, slaves enjoyed greater temporary freedom, and people gave each other small clay figures and candles, symbols of friendship and good fortune. With the consolidation of Christianity, Saturnalia was progressively reinterpreted in light of the birth of Jesus. Although the character of the festival changed, the practice of giving gifts remained as a symbol of generosity and affection. Thus, symbolic exchanges were oriented toward the memory of the three wise men's offering to the child. The connection between Saturnalia and Christmas celebrations shows the cultural syncretism of the festival. By resuming the exchange of gifts, Christmas inherited the idea that giving gifts is a gesture that strengthens ties, appreciates company, and shares prosperity. In each wrapped gift, the heritage of centuries can be recognized, attesting to the longevity and plasticity of human customs. Number 2. The Strasbourg Christmas Market and its magic. The Strasbourg Christmas Market, in the Alsace region of France, is one of the oldest in Europe, with roots in the 16th century. Known as Christkindlesmarkt, this market combines French and German tradition, reflecting the history of a territory marked by cultural exchange. Its streets are filled with stalls with crafts, ornaments, sweets, and aromatic spices that feed the festive spirit. The imposing and decorated Strasbourg Cathedral presides over the market, reinforcing the charming atmosphere. Choirs, bands, and children's activities create a panorama of collective joy. The soft light of the street lamps, the paper stars, and the aroma of mulled wine invite you to explore every corner, discovering local treasures and connecting with the roots of European Christmas. The historical importance of the market lies in its continuity through wars, political changes, and social transformations. The stalls recall culinary customs, family stories, and local legends, offering a multi-sensory experience. The Strasbourg Christmas Market exemplifies the ability of Christmas to serve as a connecting thread between past and present, connecting generations through flavors, colors, and melodies. Number 1. The Star of Bethlehem and its scientific interpretation. The Star of Bethlehem, mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew, guided the three wise men to the birthplace of Jesus. This phenomenon has aroused the curiosity of astronomers and historians. Some hypotheses propose that it was a planetary conjunction, like that of Jupiter and Saturn around 7 BC, while others suggest the presence of a comet or a nova that shone in the sky. Astronomical analysis seeks to correlate ancient records and modern calculations to clarify the origin of the star. Although there is no absolute consensus, the research exemplifies how faith and science can dialogue. Each theory offers a different reading of the event, enriching the understanding of the historical context in which the biblical narrative arose. The Star of Bethlehem concentrates in its light religious symbolism and scientific fascination. Beyond its exact nature, it remains an emblem of hope and guidance. The image of the Magi following a star sums up the human desire to seek signs in the sky, interpreting them as guides for life and the revelation of the divine mystery. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.